What are some things that you should know before visiting Amsterdam? Today, we're going to find out together. And as someone who is from the Netherlands, I'm really curious what he's going to point out. So let's just jump right in.
I've been to Amsterdam quite a few times and recently went back to this magical and kinda weird city. So in this video I'll share some exciting facts and travel tips for the capital of Holland. Of course I knew that the country isn't called Holland, it is called the Netherlands. But in Danish, and I'm from Denmark, we just call the country Holland, and I think it's the same in quite a few countries. But just don't be overheard calling the country Holland when you're in the Netherlands, because I think people could be a bit annoyed by that.
Yeah, I'm not really annoyed by that myself personally, because I get that the Netherlands is just, it's kind of long and it's kind of annoying to say. Like, I'd rather say Holland as well, and I did for a long time. Especially on vacation, when you're on vacation, people are like, oh, where are you from? And then you're like, the Netherlands, and they're, oh, Holland. And then you say, Amsterdam. And I'm like, sure. It's like, I'm from Amsterdam. Like, I know we're like a tiny, tiny country, and that's really all most people know. But even the fact that people know of Amsterdam is good. But yeah, I get that Holland is just so much easier to say.
The Dutch have nothing to hide. If you're walking through Amsterdam, you will notice something that might seem quite bizarre to foreigners. Massive windows with zero curtains, which gives you like a full look into people's apartments. And the Dutch don't seem to care at all. But there's actually a fascinating story behind all.
Before he explains it, I do want to say that is a thing in the Netherlands where we just kind of look inside other people's homes. But I don't know, it's not like someone said like, oh, let's just look inside these people's homes or something. It's like quite interesting how something like that comes about. Because I know this is not something that people might do in other countries, at least not that I have heard of. But yeah, we just do, and it's just because we're kind of curious what other people's homes look like, and because everyone has their curtains open, it's like you can, or not everyone, but a lot of people do, and you can just look inside. And when you go for a walk in the neighborhood, you just kind of casually just look, and it's just something we do.
All of this. So back in the 17th century, having large windows and keeping them uncovered was a way to show to your neighbors that you didn't have anything to hide from them or from God himself. And even today, many Dutch people consider it rude to have your curtains closed during the day, because then it's like you've got something to hide from your neighbors.
I didn't even know that there was a story behind it. It's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I guess that kind of answers my question as to how it came about. But then still, it's interesting how that traveled all the way to now, and that no one specifically said like, okay, we're just gonna go for a walk, and when we are walking, we're just gonna look inside these people's homes. It's like not like your parents say that to you or something, or I don't know. It just came about.
I live in Copenhagen, so I know the feeling of being on my bike in the middle of the city and seeing this big group of tourists on yellow or orange bikes, and just feel like these guys don't belong here, and they don't have any idea of the fact that people are actually using this bike lane to get to work or get to places that they have to go to. Biking in Amsterdam and Copenhagen is the equivalent of driving a car elsewhere. It's fast-paced, it's purposeful, and most importantly, there's a zero tolerance to pedestrians in bike lanes. So at all times when you're in Amsterdam, you gotta be aware of the kind of traffic that you can't hear, which is bikes, and don't be surprised if you get yelled at if you walk around on the street with no regard of your surrounding.
Yeah, that's something that I had to kind of get used to when I went to Valencia, because I went there for my internship. I mentioned in some videos if I published them before this one, and if you watch those. But yeah, so I went to Valencia for my internship for my tourism management bachelor's, and part of my tasks were doing check-ins with Airbnb guests, and so I had to bike to all of these different Airbnbs across the city, and it's definitely different there that people just walk on the bike lanes, and in the Netherlands you're not supposed to do that, or like people they might get a little bit annoyed or they'll start ringing their bell or something, but I was there during the fires as well, and if you don't know what the fires is, it's basically like a tradition or a festival kind of where they celebrate. Now I don't know the specifics of it. I thought it was something with celebrating spring or something, but they build these large, I don't know what they are really called, kind of these puppets. I don't know, maybe I can put a picture on the screen so that will clarify it a bit. But so, and then they end up burning those as a ritual for inviting spring, I think, if I say that correctly. But anyways, it's super busy during that time. Lots of people from around the world also come and see that. So the streets were packed with people, and I had to bike to all of these different Airbnbs, but I couldn't even bike at some points because there's just so many people you couldn't even really walk. So I had to get off the bike and walk there and try to get there on time. Guests would get mad. Anyways, that's besides the point, but that was a real culture shock for me at the time.
I was also quite surprised how many people were actually using e-bikes in Amsterdam. So they go fast, and the e-bikes are actually quite stylish and not those phone thief / drug dealer kind of e-bikes that you see in other cities. Coffee shops aren't for coffee. If you're looking for your morning caffeine fix in Amsterdam, don't go to a coffee shop. You want to look for a cafe or coffee house, I think, because coffee shops in Amsterdam are for that plant that makes cigarettes smell funny. But yes, the green plant is legal in the designated coffee shops in Amsterdam, but lighting up in public or even in a park can actually get you a fine. It does smell quite funny all over Amsterdam. And on my last trip, I did see and smell loads of funny looking cigarettes in the streets.
Yeah, that's, if you've ever been to Amsterdam, you know this smell. I haven't actually, I've been a few times, but it's not like I've been many times. But I feel like every time I went, I would at least smell it once. And it's just a strong scent. So beware if you're planning to go. There's a high possibility that sometime during your trip, you will be experiencing this smell for yourself.
I think the police are probably turning a blind eye to just if you're a bloke sitting on a bench on your own, just smoking a funny cigarette, then they'll probably be all right with that. But if you're a group of, lads coming to Amsterdam, you're drunk, you're making a scene on the street, and you're smoking, then I'm pretty sure you'll get a fine. Getting from Amsterdam Schiphol Airport to the city center is super easy. The train station is literally right under, or the train tracks are right under the airport, so you can basically walk from airplane to train within like 10 minutes. And then the train to Amsterdam Centraal train station takes about 20 minutes. And the best part of getting the airport train is that you can just use your phone to tap in. Just tap your contactless card or phone, and then you will walk through the barrier and be on the train. And this goes for all Amsterdam public transport, also the metro, the tram and the bus.
Yeah, we have a pretty good public transport system that we really should not take for granted. Because when I went to America, that's one thing that, well, outside of like New York, and maybe there's some other places, but that's something that I really missed. But I'd be curious to see what the Swedish public transport's like, because I heard that might even be better. So I really want to go there one day and check that out as well, to see the difference.
Amsterdam is practically a cashless city. You can pay for almost everything with your card or your phone, from tram rides, as I just said, to tiny stalls that sell stroopwafels. I think the Dutch were pretty early adapters of contactless payments, and they actually have one of the highest rates of cashless transactions in Europe. So don't bother taking out euros, just use your phone or your card anywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. And in some places or restaurants or whatever, you might not even be able to pay with cash, which to me isn't a problem, but yeah, you don't really need to take out euros or anything.
Amsterdam's top attractions like the Anne Frank House, the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum are super popular, and tickets often sell out weeks in advance. For example, the Anne Frank House has been a museum since 1960, and more than 1.2 million people visit it annually. And it's just a tiny house by the canal, so imagine if people were actually stood in line there. That would be pretty crazy. So
yeah, I went to the Anne Frank House, as we say it in Dutch, like a few years ago. It's been a pretty long time actually, but we did stand in line. I don't know if we got tickets beforehand. I think we did, but we still had to wait outside in line for quite a while, and it was cold. My sister her feet were freezing off, but I don't know how it is now, but it's always busy. So that's a good tip that he gave, to make sure you have your tickets already, and to also take the possible waiting into account.
make sure you pre-book your tickets for those famous things that you want to do in Amsterdam. To show you how tiny Amsterdam, or the city center, actually is, let me just throw up this Google map. It shows a walk from the central station and out to the famous 9 Streets, which is one of the nicest areas of town and one that you definitely will want to visit. It's only like a 20-minute walk, as you can see, and that kind of gives you an overview of how small Amsterdam city center actually is. So
Yeah, it's like how you gotta think about the Netherlands is like a pea compared to the rest of the world. So especially like the cities, all will kind of be more walkable, and nothing will really be that far away to where you have to drive. I'd say like especially in Amsterdam, there's no real need to rent a car or anything, and I would just walk or bike the things you want to see, so that you can also get like experience more along the way.
My tip here is that instead of acting like 95% of tourists who are coming to Amsterdam who will only ever visit the city center, you really should go out to areas like Jordaan and De Pijp and check out my other Amsterdam video if you want to see some of my favorite parts of the city. Forget everything you know about weather forecasts. Amsterdam's weather definitely has a mind of its own, and the Dutch have this saying that if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, and I feel like that sums up Amsterdam's weather quite well. Amsterdam actually gets...
That's like, yeah, the weather in the entire like country is just, if you want great weather, then and that's like your main thing that you're looking for, then this is probably not the country for you. But if you like rain, then it could be for you, or cloudy skies, then it's the perfect place. But it's true that the weather can just switch up like that, and it's best to wear layers for that reason as well. It's like sometimes it can be sunny, and then sometime later it'll just be raining, just like that.
Over 200 days of rain every year, but it's usually light rain that comes and goes quite quickly, so do as the locals and wear layers and always have a light jacket with you. And also just be ready to head into the nearest nice little cafe or pub, because there are loads all over Amsterdam. Those dreamy tulip fields that you see on Instagram, they are not in Amsterdam actually. They are out in an area called Keukenhof.
Wait, do people think they are in Amsterdam? Is that like the picture that's been or being created for foreigners? If you're not from the Netherlands, I'd be interested to know if that is the case. If you thought that the tulip fields are in Amsterdam, let me know in the comments, because that's really interesting to me, and I didn't know that people might think that. But I guess it makes sense if most of the things you see about the Netherlands are Amsterdam, and then you also see tulip fields, that you might think that they're in Amsterdam, but they're actually not. And I think now he's talking about...
So you can go on a day trip out there, but just know that you're not going to stumble upon a little cute tulip field in the city center of Amsterdam.
So yeah, Keukenhof, like you said, you can see the tulip fields there, and that's a really popular place. I actually haven't seen tulip fields yet. I don't know why, because I've been planning to see some tulip fields for a while now, and it's just never really happened yet. But I definitely want to go, and a good tip is that you definitely can see them outside of the Keukenhof as well, and then you don't have to be in those crowds. It will probably be a little bit less busy.
Amsterdam's tap water is some of the cleanest in the world, so you can just open up, drink, and have a good time. It is a bit mad that I need to say this, but don't rent a car if you're coming to Amsterdam and just want to experience Amsterdam. We've established that Amsterdam is a pretty small city, and driving a car in Amsterdam would be just silly. It's impossible to get a parking spot, and there are so many bikes all over that it must be so stressful to ride a car in Amsterdam. There's no point. There's brilliant public transport, or you can just walk.
Yeah, I agree. It's basically like what I said as well. There's no real need to rent a car, which also saves you some money, so that's nice.
Here's something that surprises quite a few tourists who are coming to Amsterdam. Some of the best Indonesian food outside of Indonesia is actually to be found here in Amsterdam. That is, of course, not just a random coincidence. It's a direct result of the Netherlands' colonial history with Indonesia. So when Indonesia gained independence in 1945, many Indonesian people moved over to Amsterdam, which of course brought their incredible cuisine with them. One of the absolute must-tries when you're coming to Amsterdam and want to try that Dutch Indonesian food is rijsttafel, which basically translates into rice table. And
Yeah, it's so good. Like, the Dutch cuisine isn't anything spectacular. We call it AVG. That's the main thing we eat. So that's potatoes, meat, and vegetables. And then we have things like stamppot, which is basically mashed potatoes with any kind of vegetable that you like. Those are some really typical Dutch foods, or like, I guess you'd call it pea soup. Yeah, but it's you're not coming to the Netherlands just to eat that. I would think so. So we have all kinds of cuisines that you can try, and in my opinion, it's really nice that we have so much variety, especially because our food is not top tier or anything.
this was actually one of my highlights of the last trip I went on here, so I definitely recommend this restaurant. But I also read somewhere that there are actually more Indonesian restaurants in Amsterdam city center than traditional Dutch restaurants, so you are spoiled for choice. Everyone, at least online, seems to compare Amsterdam to Venice and call it the Venice of the North. But perhaps we should start calling Venice the Amsterdam of the South, because there are actually way more canals in Amsterdam compared to Venice. And a little fun fact, if you laid out all the canals from Amsterdam like in a straight line, they would go all the way to Paris.
I didn't know that all the way to Paris is a long wow. Imagine being on a boat or on a kayak and just paddling all the way to Paris. It's crazy.
It's mad how similar Amsterdam is to Copenhagen, where I live, and I filmed this on a nice sunny day, which is the first day in 2 months that we actually have some sun. So you should hit the like button, because I'm sitting inside and not going outside filming this video. Thank you.
I feel that, like, when it's a nice sunny day in the Netherlands, people go outside as well, and like the first ray of sunshine they see, they might start to put on their shorts and just try to take advantage of the sun as much as we can, because we don't get it a lot.
I feel like the Dutch and the Danes also look quite similar, and while I don't understand the language when they talk, I can kind of understand written Dutch quite well as a Dane. Also, one of the most famous Danish kings, Christian IV, was so inspired by Amsterdam that he had a big part of Copenhagen modeled after the city with all the canals. So that's actually why the area of Christianshavn here in Copenhagen looks so much like Amsterdam. Also, both cities have so many cool bakeries and cafes and coffee shops, and I don't mean those kind of coffee shops, all over town.
For some reason, I never made the connection that the pastries are from Denmark. For some reason, I never connected that in my mind, but that makes a whole lot of sense. And now I want to go to Denmark, and I already did want to go to Denmark because I'm really curious what the differences are between Denmark and the Netherlands, and the similarities, because they kind of seem similar, but there have to be some differences. So I'm really interested in that. And if you happen to be from Denmark or you have visited Denmark, then let me know in the comments what you think are the most prominent differences. So those are some things that you should know before you visit Amsterdam. If you have been, let me know what you thought, and if you haven't been, let me know if you're planning to go.